Battle City is a multi-directional shooter video game for the family computer produced and published in 1985 by Namco. The player, controlling a tank, must destroy enemy tanks in each level, which enter the playfield from the top of the screen. The enemy tanks attempt to destroy the player's base as well as the human tank itself. A level is completed when the player destroys all 20 enemy tanks, but the game ends if the player's base is destroyed or the player loses all available lives. Each map contains different types of terrain and obstacles. Examples include brick walls that can be destroyed by having either the player's tank or an enemy tank shoot at them, steel walls that can be destroyed by the player if he has collected 3 or more power-up stars, bushes that hide tanks under them, ice fields that make it difficult to control tank, and pools of water which cannot be crossed by tanks. Bomberman 2 is a video game developed and published by Hudson Soft and released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991. The game was titled Dynablaster in Europe. The game follows the classic Bomberman formula. You are in a room full of blocks and enemies, and Bomberman must plant bombs to destroy the blocks and enemies. Several blocks contain power UPS, such as blast radius increasers or fuse shorteners, and one in each level contains a door, which takes Bomberman to the next level. Passwords are given after game over, recording the level, number of bombs, and strength of bombs. These passwords can be entered when the game starts, allowing the player to continue where he or she left off. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is a platformer video game released in December 1993 in Japan, and the following month in the United States. It is based on the Disney cartoon about crime-fighting chipmunks of the same name and is a sequel to the 1990 game. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2 is a platform game featuring single and two-player cooperative modes. As with the first game, each individual stage is set up as a side-scrolling action game where Chip and Dale can walk, jump, duck, and pick up objects such as acorns, crates, barrels, and balls to throw at enemies and bosses. Each character can withstand only 3 direct hits before they lose a life, though it is possible to earn more hits over the course of the game. Circus Charlie is an arcade platform game originally published by Konami in 1984 in which the player controls a clown named Charlie. It was released for MSX in the same year, followed by ports to the Nintendo Famicom in 1986 by Soft Pro and the Commodore 64 in 1987. In the game there are 6 regular stages, plus an extra stage, of differing tasks that are to be completed by Charlie. Grabbing money bags, performing dangerous tricks, avoiding enemies, completing stages, earns Charlie points. After the 6th stage is completed, the game starts over again but with a faster pace and more difficult, but exactly the same in terms of task to be completed, levels. Charlie also races against time. Bonus points are awarded according to the time remaining, but running out of time will cost the player a life. Contra, distributed as Greiser in Europe and Oceania, is a 1987 run-and-gun action game developed and published by Konami, originally released as a coin-operated arcade game on February 20, 1987. A home version was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1988, along with ports for various computer formats, including the MSX2. Contra employs a variety of playing perspectives, which include a standard side view, a pseudo 3D view, in which the player proceeds by shooting and moving towards the background, in addition to left or right, and a fixed screen format, in which the player has their gun aimed upwards by default. Up to 2 people can play simultaneously, with one player as Bill, the blonde-haired commando with the white tank top and blue bandana, and the other player as Lance, the shirtless dark-haired commando in the red bandana. The controls consists of an 8-way joystick and 2 action buttons for shooting and jumping. Excitebike is a motocross racing video game franchise made by Nintendo. It debuted as a game for the Famicom in Japan in 1984 and as a launch title for the NES in 1985. Whether the player chooses to race solo or against computer-assisted riders, they race against a certain time limit. The goal is to qualify for the Excitebike, the championship, race by coming in at 3rd place. The player controls the position of the red motorcycle with the Y-axis of the directional pad, and controls acceleration with the A and B buttons. Using B causes greater acceleration, but also increases the motorcycle's temperature shown as a bar at the bottom of the screen. When the temperature exceeds safe limits, the bar becomes full. The player will be immobilized for several seconds while the bike cools down. Driving over an arrow will immediately reduce the bike's temperature. Ice Climber is a vertical platform video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Family Computer in Japan and the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America in 1985. In Ice Climber, the characters Popo and Nana, collectively known as the Ice Climbers, venture up 32 ice-covered mountains to recover stolen vegetables from a giant condor. In some European countries, the NES console was sold bundled with the game, increasing Ice Climber's familiarity outside Japan. The first player controls Popo, a boy wearing a blue Eskimo parka, while the second player controls Nana, a girl wearing a pink one. The only tool they carry is a wooden mallet to carve openings in the ice above and to club enemies. Each mountain level consists of 8 layers of colorful ice and a bonus stage. Standard, dull ice blocks pose no threat other than an easily disposed of barrier and platform. Square ice blocks with higher detail are indestructible, forcing the player to take another path. Lode Runner is a platform video game first published by Bomberman in 1983. Unlike later platformers which rely on precision jumping and movement, levels in Lode Runner are puzzle-oriented. It is one of the first games to include a level editor, a feature that allows players to create their own levels for the game. This feature bolstered the game's popularity, as magazines such as Computer Gaming World held contests to see who could build the best level. The player controls a stick figure who must collect all the gold in a level while avoiding guards who try to catch the player. After collecting all the gold, the player must touch the top of the screen to reach the next level. There are 150 levels in the game which progressively challenge players' problem-solving abilities or reaction times. Levels feature a multi-story, brick platform motif, with ladders and suspended hand-to-hand bars that offer multiple ways to travel throughout. The player can dig holes into floors to temporarily trap guards and may safely walk atop trapped guards. Should a guard be carrying a bar of gold when he falls into a hole, it will be left behind, and can be retrieved by the player. Super Mario Bros. Is a platform video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System home console. Released as a sequel to the 1983 game Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. Was released in Japan and North America in 1985. In Super Mario Bros., the player controls Mario as he travels through the Mushroom Kingdom in order to rescue Princess Toadstool from the antagonist Bowser. The objective is to race through the Mushroom Kingdom, survive the main antagonist Bowser's forces, and save Princess Toadstool. The player moves from the left side of the screen to the right side in order to reach the flagpole at the end of each level. The game world has coins scattered around it for Mario to collect, and special bricks marked with a question mark, which when hit from below by Mario, may reveal more coins or a special item. Bricks may contain more coins or rare items. If the player gains a red and yellow super mushroom, Mario grows to double his size and can take one extra hit from most enemies and obstacles, in addition to being able to break bricks above him. Track and Field is a 1983 Olympic-themed sports arcade game developed and published by Konami. The Japanese release sported an official license for the 1984 Summer Olympics. In the original arcade game, the player uses two run buttons, or a trackball in later units that replaced buttons damaged from overuse, and one action button to control an athlete competing in the following 6 events. 100-meter dash running by quickly alternating button presses. Long jump running by alternating button press and correct timing for jump. Hold jump button to set angle. Javelin throw running by alternating button presses and then using action button correct timing for angle. 110-meter hurdles running by alternating button presses and using action button to time hurdles. Hammer throw spinning initiated by pressing a run button once and then correctly timed press of action button to choose angle.